Okay, here's the first video that I think everyone's been waiting for. My first progress video, where I offer up some actual proof of whether or not this program actually works for me. Hi, I'm Lance Hitchings, and I created this channel to share with you guys what I've learned in my quest to turn back the clock on aging, the conclusions I've drawn, the techniques I've decided to implement, and the results that I've achieved from those techniques. And those results is what I'll be sharing in this video. In this video, I'll be reporting on my progress thus far, and that means going back over the last decade or so to show you progress that I've made and then lost, showing you the progress that I've made in the last year and a half since I started my current program. I'll be showing you progress in terms of weight loss, building muscle, boosting my testosterone levels, and lowering my blood pressure and more. And I'll be showing you my progress in terms of tests, measurements, and photos, all over time. But before I begin, I'd like to go over some of my goals for the time period that I'm going to be reporting on, because they've changed considerably. I started out just wanting to lose some weight, and that's all I focused on for the first 6 years. Then, about 4 years ago, I started working on both losing weight and trying to recapture some of the muscle that I'd lost over the last 30 years. Then, about a year and a half ago, I realized that I had a lot more problems than just weight and lost muscle. I was suffering from ED, and I got my testosterone tested and discovered that I had low T, which contributed to the ED. I had high blood pressure. My joints were starting to get sore. My skin was starting to lag and lose elasticity. I was starting to forget things more and more easily, and it was harder to concentrate. The list just goes on and on. So I decided to see if I couldn't turn back the clock on some of these symptoms of aging. Some of the issues I recorded, some I didn't. Some of them I started to work on, some I haven't gotten around to yet. If you've watched my video on motivation, you'll know that I'm in the process of instilling one new habit at a time. And there are a lot of things to work on and a lot of new habits to instill. And quite frankly, I haven't gotten around to all of them yet. It's a work in progress. So without further ado, let's jump right in. Here's some photos that were taken of me almost exactly 10 years ago. And man, it really hurts to look at these. I did not look happy in these. And I wasn't. I weighed almost 260 pounds in these photos. My body fat was about 36%. That translates to 92 pounds of fat and 165 pounds of bone and muscle. My blood pressure was 175 over 114. That's in the range for having a stroke or a heart attack. I'm assuming that my testosterone was down around about 350 nanograms per deciliter. I didn't have it tested at this time, but the first time I had it tested, that's where it was. My chest was 47 inches, and so was my waist, 47 inches. Man, I have a long way to go. Okay, here's a photo from a couple of months later. I think I was about 230 in this photo. So I'd lost about 40 pounds in a couple of months. Not bad. Still no definition, still a big belly, but I'm making progress. I think I was using Tony Horton's P90 at this point. I didn't really start trying to turn back the clock until May of 2017. And this was about 8 years prior to that. So at this time, I knew I was fat and I was just trying to lose weight. I wasn't trying to get any stronger or bulk up on muscle. Okay, here's a photo from a year later. That would have been about 2010. I weighed about 205 at this point. So I lost about 65 pounds at this point. My body fat at this point was down to 21%, and my blood pressure was down to 110 over 70. Now I was able to go off my blood pressure meds at this point. So that measurement is my blood pressure without being on my hypertensive meds. Now, at this point, my chest was down to 43.5 inches, but my waist was down to 37 inches. So I'd lost 10 inches off my waist. Still not great definition, but better than it was. Okay, so for the next 7 years, my weight yo-yoed up and down from about 205 to 230 or 240. Then, in May of 2017, I embarked on my current plan to turn back the clock. Now, I don't have any pictures from then, but I was the same weight that I was in July of 2010. So I'm using a picture from that period. I was actually at a slightly higher body fat percentage, and I'd lost 10 pounds of muscle. So imagine me as I am in this picture, only with 10 pounds less muscle, and that's where I was when I started my quest to turn back the clock. Since I knew that optimizing my testosterone levels would be key to any progress that I made, I had my T tested, and it came back at about 350 nanograms per deciliter. And that's low, way low. And my blood pressure was back up to 150/90. Okay, so here I am in October of 2017. I'm down to 211, and my body fat is 24%. I had regained about 5 pounds of muscle, and my blood pressure was down to 116/68. My chest was at 44 inches and my waist at 35. Although, in all honesty, I think the waist measurement is incorrect. I'm pretty sure it was more like 37 or 38. And more importantly, after 5 months of trying to boost my testosterone production, my T levels were up to 570 nanograms per deciliter. That's not bad. That's a rise of 220 nanograms per deciliter. Now, a month later, I was down to 205 once again, and about 24% body fat. That's about 3 pounds less fat, but also a couple of pounds less muscle than the month before. My chest was at 44 inches, my waist at 37, almost exactly the same as in 2010. But my testosterone was at 728 nanograms per deciliter, up another 160 points and 380 points higher than the 350 in May. That's over double. I had doubled my testosterone at this point. Okay, next is April of 2018, and I knew that I was going to be doing this site, so the photography is a little better. Now, at this point, I had been trying to build new muscle for the last 3 months, so my weight went up, but my body fat percentage went down. I weighed 213 pounds, up 7 pounds from November, but I gained about 9 pounds of new muscle during that period. I actually lost 1 pound of fat, and as you can see, I was looking much better. Now, although I didn't take photos in June, I did take some measurements. I was now down to 202 pounds, and this was the lightest I had ever been in the last 30 years. My body fat was 17%, and my blood pressure was at 122/71. Then, again in August, no pictures, but once again, I did take measurements. I weighed 193, and I was 15.8% body fat. Now, for this measurement, I got both my cholesterol and my testosterone checked, and both came back great. Cholesterol was 188 milligrams per deciliter, HDL at 69, LDL at 108 milligrams per deciliter, and triglycerides at 57, all in the low normal range. And that's after eating steak, bacon, and grass-fed butter for the last year and a half. So I guess it is true that consumption of dietary cholesterol has no effect on serum cholesterol. And best of all, my testosterone came in at 940 nanograms per deciliter. That's above the reference range for the lab that I use. My free testosterone, however, came in at 11.1 nanograms per deciliter, and that's the one that really matters. Chest has dropped down to 43, and waist has dropped to 35. So at this point, I kind of stumbled. I hurt my shoulder lifting weights, and I've been trying to heal that up ever since. And I needed to change my workout routine to something that was really easy on the weights. So I started doing Orange Theory. And I've seen some significant gains since I started, but not in muscle mass. Also, with all the parties and the big meals over the holidays, I've put on about 5 pounds, which I now have to take off. So that brings me up to date. This photo was taken on January 16th of this year, 2019. I weighed 200 pounds, and my body fat is 18%. So I gained some weight over the holidays, and I'm now in the process of shedding that. I hope that this video hasn't been too boring or self-centered for you, but I wanted to establish some baselines so that I've got something to compare myself to over the next year or so. If you stuck with me through to the end, good for you. If you'd like to subscribe to my channel, please do so, and hit the like button and share it with your friends and on your social media. And hit the bell to be notified when I post a new video every Tuesday. And as always, thank you so much for watching.